DSTV, Television Reloaded.
Issues and answers, reaching you live from Edo Broadcasting Service, Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. I'm Josephine Eimihe. On Issues and Answers, we discuss trendy issues and how to prefer solutions, how these issues affect our society and the way out of it. Today is going to be a very unique program, a unique segment, because we are starting on health segment, though both are health, because our next segment will be looking at drug abuse. That will be like the bigger package. We want to give you like a bonus, and every June 13 is International Day for Albinism Awareness. Some of you will be wondering, what's albinism? Okay, some of us will say enya. Okay, now native parlance we use enya. Okay, other people will say obubo. Okay, we'll be discussing albinism this morning and how it affects the. Okay, let me leave the specialist to talk on it. We have Dr. S.A. Hasui with us. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
Okay. I'm talking about the World International Day for Albinism Awareness. What is it all about, please?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. June 13th actually is a day set aside worldwide to educate people on the health condition called albinism. And many people, we have them all around us, but we don't know why they appear that way. So that day is a day set aside to increase awareness, let people know what albinism is all about, what causes it, and how it can be managed, how you can handle it, and interacting with albinos, how you'll be able to relate with them. And that's just all about what International Day for Albinism is. And now, what is albinism? Albinism is a health condition where you find someone being born with little or no melanin pigments on the skin. The reason why we have our dark skin or why we have our different complexions is because of the pigment melanin on our skin. Someone who is very dark will have a large amount of pigment, high amount of pigment, melanin pigments on their skin, while someone who is fair-skinned will have little amount of melanin pigments on their skin. Now, someone who is an albino has very little or no pigmentation, melanin pigments on the skin. Even if they have a little, they have lower than the adequate amount that should be for a healthy person. That's why they appear the way they do. That's why they appear white-skinned or very fair. And that melanin pigment is very, very important, not just only on the skin, but also on the other organs of the body. The melanin pigment helps to absorb UV rays from the sun, especially in our environment here in Africa, where we have a lot of sunlight, very hot sunlight here. Our pigment melanin on our skin is able to help us absorb that UV rays from the sun so that it doesn't affect our health adversely. Now, people who have who are albinos, they have no melanin pigments on their skin or very little, such that they cannot adequately absorb the UV rays from the sun. Now, these may have adverse reactions on their health, not also on the skin. Now, the eyes. As an optometrist, I'll be talking majorly on how albinism affects eyesight, your eyes generally. Now, the eyes also. The melanin pigment is what causes our eyes to have this brown coloration. And this brown coloration of our eyes, that is the dark brown coloration, helps to absorb bright light from devices, bright light from the sun, UV rays from the sun, so that it doesn't affect our eyes negatively, thus causing health issues on our eyes, which will affect our sight adversely. Now, this melanin is also on our blood vessels, on the retina. The retina is a thin layer of nerves behind the eyes. The retina also has melanin on it. Now, in albinos, they don't have enough melanin on the retina, or they don't even have any melanin on the retina. That is why you see an albino reacting when you have light shining on them, or when they are in a sunny environment, they have to close their eyes, or you find out that they don't even see clearly because the retina doesn't have melanin to help absorb these UV rays, thus helping them to balance their sight to help them see. And also this melanin is very, very important in the direction of the nerves on the eyes. Now this retina, the melanin on the retinal layer, helps not only to absorb UV rays, but also in directing the nerves where the pathway they should take to the brain. If these nerves are not properly directed from the eyes to the brain, it will not help in the interpretation of light. It will not help in the interpretation of what you are seeing. The nerves on the retina get visual information from your environment, direct it straight to the brain, and the brain interprets what you are seeing. So if these nerves are not properly directed, now if the pigment melanin doesn't help to absorb UV rays and you don't see the environment clearly, how will they be able to interpret what they are seeing clearly? That is why albinos have poor vision, especially in bright environment, because they don't have enough melanin on their retina to absorb light, to also direct the nerves on their
So how do you rectify this?
Now,
Quickly.
rectification of it. In understanding this, you find out that albinos have issues. Many of them come up with long-sightedness, hypermetropia, short-sightedness, myopia, and different eye conditions. Also, nystagmus, where you find their eyes dancing, not being stable, or they even have cross eyes. Some may have isotropia, while some may have exotropia, where the eye is deviated we call it a squint, where the eye is deviated outward or inward, or it's uncontrolled, it keeps moving. How do we control this? When you have an albino in your family or a friend, or many teachers even have told me about the albino pupils who they want to help, just take that child to an eye specialist, let that child be checked. There are different ways that child can be helped visually, but you should know that the visual problem in albinos, especially, it depends on the degree of the visual impairments in an albino. There's a limited way it can be resolved. There are some that can be given glasses and they will see clearly, while some will be given glasses, it will only improve their sight a bit, but at least they will appreciate that little improvement in their sight. Someone that could see everywhere was very blurred, could not even see clearly at all, you give them glasses and it improves their sight, they will appreciate it. Even if it's not up to the maximum level, they would appreciate it. And with continuous usage, you should know that albinism gets better as the person grows older, especially ocular albinism, when it has to do with sight. As the person grows older, he begins to adapt better with his environment, and the nerves begin to become a bit more stable. So when the child is young and the child has been found out that he has albinism, give the child the right visual aid, maybe in form of glasses, maybe in form of contact lenses. There are other ways that there are other low vision devices that can be used. When this child starts using these devices continuously as he gets older, it will get a bit better. Now you should know that, don't just relegate an albino or use insultive words on an albino and tease them about their vision. It affects them emotionally. They are human beings like you, so don't just say you are an albino, you can't see in the bright light, or you that you are a bat, you see only at night. It affects them emotionally. Encourage them to go for an eyesight. If you find that out, don't tease them about it. Let them know the solution, that there is a solution to it. Go and see an eye doctor and you get your eyes tested. I've had many teachers who have interacted with some teachers who have told me about that, and they have albino children in their class, very nice children, but they can't see the board clearly, and I've encouraged them to take that child encourage the parents to take that child to an eye doctor. Don't think that if you have an albino child, that child is blind forever. There is solution for it. Right. Let that child come and see us, see a professional, or you can visit us or call my number 003915798. I'll be able to direct you to the right place to go. I'll be able to answer your questions on whatever concerns you have about albinism. So albinism is not a situation or it's not a situation that will lead to blindness or all. It can be.
Thank you. I'm a bit concerned when you said for the albinos, when they grow older, their eyesight is better
compared to
us.
No, not compared to us. Compared to when they were younger.
Because for some of us, when we get older, our eyesight, we do have problems.
Okay, no, that's not what I meant. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you.
Okay.
I meant that when an albino is younger, the visual, when we measure the vision of an albino child when he's younger, the level of, should I say, visual impairment that child will have, as he gets older, I'm just talking about strictly on albinism now, when he gets older, the visual impairment will get a bit better. I'm not talking about us now who have normal vision. Thank you for that question. Let me clarify that.
All right.
I'm not saying that albinos they see better at old age compared to normal people.
That was I was wondering.
No. I
Okay.
say in an albino, in a situation when an albino a child, the visual defect in an albino child, as the child is growing older, it will get a bit better for that child. So, and especially when he's using the right visual aid, either in form of glasses, in form of contact lenses, form of low vision devices. As he's using the right visual aid, his sight will get better as he grows older.
What I was able to get from this discussion, the color of our skin affects our eyes also.
The melanin pigments, yes.
Oh,
That's why our eyes are brown. That's why we have different colors. If you go to the
well, is it the same that the darker people, their eyes are better than the fairer people because of lack of melanin?
No, it's not about it being better. It's just absorbing light.
Okay.
It's absorbing light. It's not about it being sharper or not. The ability to absorb light. Even if someone who has a bright skin, who has fair skin and has enough melanin on the skin, adequate melanin now there's a level that the melanin should be. It should be either adequate or inadequate. Some people have bright colored eyes, but they still have the adequate melanin that will be able to absorb light, while some will not even have up to the adequate level.
Okay,
that's what I mean.
All right, thank you. As I said earlier, today is unique. It's a bumper day, bumper package day. So thank you, Dr. Kasuyi, for helping us to know what albinism and the International Day for Albinism Awareness. Issues and Answers continues after this time, because we'll be looking at drug abuse. Please don't go away. Stay with us.
EBS TV, Television Reloaded.
This program we discuss trendy issues, the effect and how to provide solutions to these problems. Earlier we were talking about an International Day for Albinism Awareness with Dr. Kasuyi. Okay, right now we are going to the big day. This is a big day, and this morning we're looking at drug abuse. I'm Josephine Ehimie. Let me introduce myself for those of you that just like seeing me on your screen. I'm Josephine Ehimie, drug abuse, and most of us are wondering, we have drug everywhere. What is the abuse are you talking about? Well, I want to let you know that drug abuse is a global and social problem. It varies from one country to another. It's not like a Nigerian thing. It's a global issue. But what is the state doing about it? What are the private people doing about it to ensure that we have a better society? Sometimes we see a lot of violence in the society. People are just prone to easily attack people, kidnapping. What are the factors that predisposes these people to go into it? And it will not be too far-fetched that drug is a bit related to it. So this morning we'll be looking at it, drug abuse, the causes, the effect, and what are the agencies doing to ensure that we have a better and a sane society. Okay, this morning we have members of the Edo State Drug Control Committee. We have the members, and that means the state government is aware that this is a big issue, and a committee has been set up to deal with that. All right, we have the Deputy Commandant, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NGLEA, Edo State Command, Usman Suleiman. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have pharmacist John Akigo. He is the PRO Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, and is the staff of New Psychiatric Hospital Uselu 2.
Yes. Good morning, viewers.
All right. The house is full. All right, this morning, let me go to the commandant. You're a member of the committee.
Yes.
How has it been in the control of drug in Edo State? I know people say, okay, let's talk about drug abuse. We'll get to that, but how is the control of drug abuse right now in the state?
Thank you. Good morning, viewers. Like you rightly pointed out, the issue of drug abuse is a growing concern all over the world. Nigeria is not an exception, likewise Edo State. And it is in that regard that the state governor, His Excellency Mr. Obaseki, as a father, as a family man, with concern for his people, also set up this Edo State Drug Control Committee in line with the National Drug Control Master Plan of the federal government to look into ways and how the state government can fit in tackling the menace that is disturbing Edo State in particular and Nigeria in general. Edo State, unfortunately, happens to be one of the growing states in terms of the most commonly abused drug, which is cannabis sativa, popularly called marijuana. And where there is supply, of course, the producers will definitely look for people that will buy. So the immediate community becomes vulnerable, and they will try as much as possible to lure people where and in order to sell their products. Right. And that is why Edo State became what it is. So it is in that regard that the Edo State Control Committee was set up with members from all stakeholders, be it pharmacies, the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Justice, the NDLA, NAFDAC, the media, and everybody. Were about 26 members.
Okay. We'll talk about the control. How has the fight been in order to reduce it? You said earlier that Edo State is among those states that is the consign for drugs like rising. We'll talk about the fight later. But let me come to pharmacist John. Can you just tell us again what is drug abuse? Let's get it clear.
Okay, I would like to use the term substance abuse because it suffices you to know that most of our youth, these abusers, have discovered other substances that are not drugs, and they are abusing these drugs. So the right term that we now use is substance, because if you say drug, it will be limited to drug. But they've improvised other substances, mixtures that they take and inhale or even drink, as the case may be. So substance abuse is when you take substance out of medication, prescription, despite the adverse effect, the consequences of you're taking these drugs. So we term such things as substance abuse. And the implications are so much that it affects majorly our youth. Most times...
Sorry to pause you. When you talk about substance, can you just elaborate on that?
Yes, when you say substance, it encompasses both drugs and other substances that people can mix together.
For instance, e.g.?
I don't want to use terms here because some people may be willing and even waiting to get that substance because they are within our reach. So they get these things, and even they can mix some of these local genes and this common mineral.
Is alcohol part of what we're talking about right now?
Alcohol could be, yes, alcohol, but they mix so many things. Like now, there are concussions. That's what we even find out in our universities. Youngsters, they mix different things together, and you no longer call that drugs. They mix marijuana. They even mix it with sweeteners like pineapple. After all, you don't have a name for it any longer. Wow. Because and such things makes them haywire, and they start doing whatever they tend to do.
Okay, you're on this feed. Why do you think some people would just feel like, apart from the drug, you said the new name for it now is substance abuse as against drug abuse. Why do you think that most persons would just want to miss things? What are they trying to achieve? You're a pharmacist.
Yes, you see what they get from this thing is fun in the first place. One, then another thing is that is when you catch them. nobody, from our statistics, observations and all, nobody will say I was forced into taking drugs. They always take it out of their volition the first time. They want to try it, maybe due to peer pressure or whatever. And after that, they continue taking this thing. And there is this, the way he does in the brain, because they act on the brain, there is this effect it has on the rewarding system, the rewarding center of the brain. It gives you a compensation of what you've taken. It makes you feel very happy. You get a reward for what you've taken.
How long does this take?
It depends on the human being. It could, and depends on the substance that you take. There's what we call half-life. So it depends on the substance. Some could take the whole of the day, some could take 1 hour, some could take 2 hours, depending on the substance that they take. And when they get the reward, because it gives you, just like when you take some, you can still have such reward in sex, in food. When you take this thing, there is this compensation you have. We call it a rewarding system in the brain. So it gives you such thing, and because of that, you keep taking it on and on, because you want to get that feel in the brain. This is the brain I'm talking about now. So this thing makes them continue taking it until it now takes over the whole system, and then it gets to addiction. Although when it gets to addiction, then there is no remedy other than going to the hospital for rehabilitation. So that is the and also some may even take it because of the nature of their job. Like some musicians, they need to stay all night working, singing and things like that. They think these things can make them have stamina all through the day, so they venture into taking drugs. Some people take it out of, will I say, inferiority complex. You want to approach a girl or you want to approach a crowd, and they think when they take this substance, they have this confidence, which, like I said, it gives them that feel, and they have the confidence. So you see, they keep taking it because of different reasons. Okay. So you see, youths are...
Commandant, I'm coming to you later, but let me still ask this question. Okay. Apart from you feeling high, there's this, for instance, some just have this happiness for a moment. Do this have effect on the system, the body system?
Of course, obviously, because that is not the natural system. You are now altering it with a foreign chemical, which definitely, like I said before, they all have effect on the brain. And when you keep taking this thing and altering your brain, the end result most times is always mental illness. It's always geared towards mental illness. But some could escape it, depending on the human physiology. But that is always where it leads them to. Mental illness. It will also have an effect on their marital. Okay, I'm talking of the social effect now on their marital status. Even when they take these things, and some indulge themselves in driving, which could lead to accidents, even fights. And some people take this thing because they want to go and execute whatever plan they may have, robbery or whatever, because it's not easy to kill another human being. So they take this thing and it takes all over their system, and they do whatever they want to do. Some girls may take it because they want to go into prostitution. So many reasons. So, and it also have a lot of negative effect. Like I said, the end point is mental illness, and nobody wants to associate themselves with mental illness. So the end point of it is mental illness, which have ended up not completely the patient's life. Let me not say not death, but when someone is already having a mental illness, nobody wants to associate, nobody wants to give him job to do, nobody wants to, things like that. So,
all right, sir, but before I will come back to you, because some persons will let you know that most of these the doctors, for instance, they allege that most of them, they still take this thing, they still abuse it, and what's the reason why they shouldn't take it? We'll come to that discussion later. But let me come to the Commandant. What is the committee doing to mitigate this prevalence of drug? Because in your earlier discussion, you said Edo State is like a concern to this drug abuse. What is the committee doing right now to mitigate the prevalence of drug abuse in this beloved state?
Thank you. The issue of drug abuse is being fought right from inception two ways. One is the supply reduction, and then the other one is the demand reduction. This supply reduction involves the use of arresting the drug dealers, prosecution after investigation or whatever. So the aim on this supply aspect is to take away the drug dealers as well as even the users initially, because it was at the inception criminalized, even the usage. But later we now found out that no, they are victims. That's the users now, so they need help. So the other aspect is demand reduction, and that is sensitizing the general public on the consequences of drug abuse or substance abuse, as the case may be, and then to discourage people from venturing into it, and those that are into it to see how they can go out of it. And then for teenagers who have not started, to also educate them so that they not even started. So that is the aspect of drug reduction. Then over the years, the agency and the government concentrated on the supply reduction aspect at the expense of the drug demand reduction. But we've been arresting people, you see, every year. We don't know the number of arrests and seizures and what have you. But it keeps on increasing. So it was now discovered that no, we have to balance it. While we are fighting the supply reduction, we equally have to put more emphasis on the demand reduction aspect. Because as long as there is demand for product or the substance, there must be supply. So the best thing is to now look at the demand reduction aspect, and which involves sensitization, education, and then telling people the consequences of this drug. And that aspect was what the Edo State government took the responsibility of conducting the sensitization. So they now brought the stakeholders. Let us come together and look at how can we educate our people. And that is what we are doing. The Edo State government, through His Excellency, we've carried a series of sensitization activities. Not quite long, the school campaign program where drug-free clubs were established in about 30 schools, was carried out about 2 weeks ago for Edo South. We have already programmed it. The next phase is going to be Edo North and then Edo Central. It's been solely sponsored by His Excellency Governor Godwin Obaseki.
So the fight is head on.
It's head on. Yes.
To dissuade people from going into drugs.
Yes, and we are trying to get the young ones who are yet to venture into it, that don't even near this thing. Because one thing about drug is that once you touch it, you remain
addicted to it.
Addicted to it, yes. So the emphasis and the essence of this schools campaign is that, okay, see the consequences, educate yourself. Because if you look at even the United Nations Drug Control Committee, the theme of last year was about seek for education about drugs in order to educate your child.
Okay, all right. Was it this year the chairman of the NDLEA, Mawa,
Yes.
said some people, some persons were caught lacing what will I call it, like chin chin or these cookies with drugs. They lace it and they go to school. you are sensitizing, you go about sensitizing, but do you still check around the environment? Because some of these cookies, they laced it with drugs and children just go and buy it. Fortunately, those persons that were involved, they were caught in Abuja. But we were told that it's everywhere. It's like a syndicate. They go about selling cookies that are laced with drugs. How do you go sensitizing these children from buying such kind of cookies?
Yes. You see, the drug dealers always develop measures on how to bring in more members into the drug usage society. Of recent, like you rightly pointed out, it was the first time we are making such an arrest, which was done in Abuja. They are now selling cookies with drugs. And the cookies also depends, there are those that have cannabis, and there are those that have cocaine in it. So it depends on which one. And like my colleague have rightly pointed out, that it is no more like restricted to drug, but you can call it substance abuse, because there are a lot of things now. Due to the government policy of banning certain drugs of abuse, they are now looking for substitutes. And we are also mindful on telling people about some of these substitutes, because there are things that you can find at home. So it depends when we are giving lectures on the targets. If they are matured ones, we tell them that, okay, look out for those things, because there are signs and symptoms. The education that we are carrying out is we educate parents on what to look out for, because you have to watch these kids. And that is a topic probably for another day, the responsibility of parents in the fight against drug abuse. There is a gap between the parents and their kids. And it is that gap that the International Day Against Drug Abuse is trying to breach. That's why last year they said, seek for knowledge. Get knowledge about these drugs so that you can impact it at home. And then by the time you get the knowledge, you can also know the signs and symptoms of somebody who is abusing drugs or have just started abusing drugs, so that you can take preventive measure at the early stage, and if you have started, you can know how to tackle it.
Okay, because of this program, can you just tell us some, because you're into this business of drug or substance abuse.
Yes.
Can you just tell us some of the signs? I know you're not a psychiatrist, but some of the signs these people do have, maybe the victims when they are being caught. What are the signs these people exhibit?
Okay, the first thing is this: establish what is normal. You know your child or your dependent, or if you are a teacher, you know your students, the normal. So establish what is normal and then look out for what is abnormal. So anytime, having known the normal, if you see any changes in your child, you now query it. Maybe, and some of the signs you look out for is, 1, black lips, reddish eyes. There are people naturally their eyes are red.
Or even dark lips.
Yes. Or dark, yeah, naturally too. That's why I said the first thing is establish what is normal. Then you look out for abnormal. In this case, that means the person initially does not have dark lips. Now the lips is changing to dark. It's abnormal. Something is going on. So you have to query it. Initially, the guy does not have always red eyes. Now his eyes are always red. And then he has started using sunshade most of the times. You have to also query it. He's always using peppermint, maybe tom-tom or whatever. He's trying to conceal something. Why is it so? You understand? And then you look at your closeness with him. Maybe anytime you are back from work, he comes and hugs you, daddy, you are welcome, mommy, you are welcome. Now, when you come, he gives you distance. Probably he doesn't want you to perceive something. because if he's smoking, the odor will be there, right? And then if things have started missing, if he starts lying, which is alien to him, then you have to also know that something is wrong. Then what we always advise parents to is to check, just to satisfy your curiosity. When the child is out, check his wardrobe, check his trousers. There was a time I conducted a lecture and I told the audience that if I asked them if there is anybody who has a dependent that is abusing drugs, and nobody raises hand, and I ask, that means nobody has any dependent that is abusing drugs. But is that a fact or just an assumption? And everybody says, okay, no, it's an assumption. Because if it is a fact, then you must have subjected it to investigation. You must have investigated. So it was just an assumption. And I said, okay, whether anybody has ever, for curiosity's sake, entered into his child's room to check the pocket, to check the wardrobe, just check. The following day, the organizers of the program called me that one woman came looking for me. What happened? She entered, based on what we discussed, she went into her son's room and discovered 16 bottles of codeine-based syrup. You see? So that is it. These are some of the things that we educate parents to look out for, because you have to get the education before you can impact it.
Thank you so much for that tips on some of the signs you can see or observe in your world, or even the husband. Sometimes it's even the parents that abuse it, not even the children, the parents to abuse it. Okay, so let's come to, first of all, let's establish this. Is alcohol, can you abuse alcohol? Is the substance abuse too?
Of course, alcohol can be abused because we have in mental health, there is a kind of psychosis that is caused by alcohol, excessive use of alcohol, precisely.
When you say excessive, is it like
that's when
daily?
you see when you say daily, some people may just take one bottle per day. That one probably may not lead to anything. But when you keep taking excessively per day all the time, and then it will now lead to some effects in the system, especially one vitamin B1, depletion of vitamin B1, which will now lead to a psychosis they call Wernicke-Korsakoff psychosis. It's a very serious
Please
one.
again call that. It's like tongue twisting.
Wernicke-Korsakoff psychosis or Korsakoff psychosis.
Okay.
For short. Although I think is the name of the.
That is the abuse of alcohol.
Yes.
You get to that.
When you get psychosis due to abuse of alcohol. You know the word abuse. Some people just take beer, alcohol. I don't know. You know, alcohol is not restricted to only beer. You have gin and other.
Yes.
Depending on their level of alcohol in it. Beer is very light, about 5%. I think the maximum could be around 7 or so. But other gins.
When you take up to 10, it's,
yes, accumulatively it could lead to something. But when you now start depleting that vitamin B1 from the system, it now leads to the one I call Korsakoff syndrome. So, and like the question you asked me, if alcohol can lead, definitely alcohol can lead to it when you take excessively, not just small quantity per day. People have wine in their bar, in their room, they just sip small and go to
and it starts from small.
No, really, because if you read the research that was conducted some years back, we discovered that adults hardly get addicted to drugs per se. It's the young ones, because there is a part in their brain that is still not developed as at that time they start taking this drug, and that substance now take over that part that is still not yet developed, take over it and get. While adults, you can see they take beer, they just take it for fun. They could drink even up to a carton, but they don't get addicted. They could only get addicted when they probably caught it when they were young.
Okay, because I've
That's it.
seen a lot of persons that do abuse alcohol, and you see them maybe in a place of work, or you see them around, you see the drunk, they say it's a drunk.
Okay,
and that one, they say
Those ones
it's always
probably
drinking.
started it at a
And what
tender
is that
age.
psychosis? What are the? It affects what in the body?
Yes, you see the person, it affects the whole system. It's psychosis. You start having hallucination. Hallucination is when you start seeing what nobody is seeing, hearing voices, even having some kind of feel. You think somebody is breaking you with things like
All right.
that.
We just have to
Then
get that one.
delirium. He now start having this delusion. He thinks there's this belief he just have, and nobody, even when the belief is not there, he thinks there's this grandiosity. He thinks he's a big personality, which he's not. You see, they start saying different things. So all these ones are signs of psychosis. And
Okay.
yes, when
Thank you so much for that. You were saying something that sometimes the kids or the word will be far from the parents, but most of this substance, it doesn't. The smell is not that. Do you agree with me? It's not like cigarettes that you perceive. Some of them you can't even perceive if the person is abusing it. Do we get that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Let me come to this. We have a lot of car parks, motor parks in Benin City, and when you get there, you see most of these people selling these drugs around that area. How often do people go to those parks to sensitize these drivers or those around on drug abuse or substance abuse?
Yes, you are quite right. These are areas that we normally visit, and even under the Edo State Drug Control Committee, we have done that severally in motor parks. You see, like the issue of substance abuse, and that is why if you go to motor parks, you see women selling herbs in bottles and whatever.
Another
Yes.
small sachet.
Of recent, we've discovered that they also sell those herbs side by side with substances of abuse.
Wow.
Because those herbs, they have started mixing them with cannabis and even tramadol.
That's true.
The same women we've arrested a lot that are selling these herbs, that we know them herbs for JD, for stomach,
malaria
this and
fever.
that, malaria, what have you. But when you ask them, they also have the ones that is mixed. Something like squish, monkey tail, and whatever. Monkey tail is a mixture of cannabis, gin, and those herbs. Then we have squishy, which is also a mixture of the same cannabis, tramadol in this case, and some like Rabina.
So how do you go there often? Do you always go there? Because, for instance, when you go for the first time, you sensitize these persons. How often do you go again to check? Do you do that regularly?
Yes, we do. That is why arrest is not the only solution.
Okay.
When we arrest those who are hawking, we cancel them on the consequences of what they are doing. But majorly our emphasis is to speak to those drivers, the conductors, and people who are working in the parks that consume these drugs or substances of abuse. And that is why, as one of our programs is under public sensitization, is to go to parks, apart from going to the village heads, because we also have a program where we bring in village heads to talk to them, educate them, so that they can help us
We
educate
don't have
their
much
people.
time, but let me ask this question. Do you have a rehabilitation center where you take these persons to, in case, okay, these people, they were caught on this and they're involved in this. Do the state have such place where they can be rehabilitated?
Yes, in our organization, the NDLA, we have a mini rehab center.
Okay.
And we always carry out this exercise in collaboration with the psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
But In most cases, we have what we call outpatient. That is, we don't keep them. They always come from their home, and we also visit them to check. So it is more of counseling.
All right. Pharmacist, you have something?
Yes. We are lucky in Edo State that we have a psychiatric hospital, Federal Bureau Psychiatric Hospital, Benin City, which have about 2 wards dedicated to drug or substance abuse patients, and it has been suffice you to know that ward, that center has been certified by United Nations to take care of and rehabilitate substance abusers.
All right, thank you so much for that. That means when the victims, if they're involved, there's a place for them to get help.
For those that want to voluntarily wean themselves off drugs.
All right, thank you so much.
So the United Nations International Day Against Drug Abuse is coming up on the 26th of December. It's a day set aside
December
of June.
Okay.
26th of
June.
Every June.
This month.
Yes, it's International Day Against Drug Abuse.
Okay.
And
so
illicit
not
trafficking.
Drug abuse, substance abuse right now.
Yes.
All right. So I'll be looking at as drug or substance abuse and the way forward. And we have members of the Edo State Drug Control Committee. We have the Deputy Commandant, NDLEA, Edo State Command, Usman Suleiman. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
really
you for
appreciate it. Okay, we have pharmacist John Akigo. He is a PRO, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Edo State.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that's our show this morning. Thank you for staying. I'm Josephine Eimihe. Do have a lovely and productive day ahead.
EBS TV, Television Reloaded.